I did not expect you guys to like the last video as much as you did. We talked about older MLB players that had the best chance to make the Hall of Fame, and you enjoyed it so much that we're gonna make a part 2 and also a part 3 because there's so many young players in baseball that have a good chance of making the Hall of Fame that it would be a 45-minute video. So what we're gonna do today is we are going to talk about these stars that are 25 years and younger, and then in part number 3, if you want to see that within the next couple days, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe because we talk about baseball almost every single day. We are on the road to 200,000 subs before opening day, but part 3 will be the Mike Trouts, the Christian Yelich's of the world. It's going to be an absolute banger, but today we're going to focus on the young guns. It's going to be a wild video. I'm super excited. I'm pumped up. Baseball should be coming back soon, but in the meantime, I love talking about these wild scenarios, and that's exactly what we're going to do, starting off with Ronald Acuna Jr. Now, real quick, I do want to mention that Pete Alonso, Bo Bichette, and Fernando Tatis Jr., they will not be in today's video because I chose guys that have at least 2 years of service time. I feel like it was easier to project that going forward because we could see consistency, we could see their weaknesses. So with that being said, the first player that we're going to talk about today is Ronald Acuna Jr. In 2019, at 21 years old, he almost had a 40-40 season, which I think only 5 or 6 guys have done in Major League Baseball history. Alfonso Soriano, Jose Canseco when he was roided up, Barry Bonds. It's a very small group of players, and he's already in that at just 22 years old. So he was 21, he's turning 22. Now, according to Baseball Reference, his 162 game average, now this is heavily inflated because he's not going to play 162 games, but if he did, his average would be 41 home runs, 100 RBIs, and combine that with the fact that his defense did improve with 10 outfield assists and he only committed 3 errors. He is a true 5-tool athlete, and if we take a look at this graphic right now, so far to start his career, he best compares to 3 Hall of Famers. Giancarlo Stanton is also in that category as well. We'll talk about him in part number 3. But according to my calculations, according to my research, which is not the best, I am not a huge baseball nerd, I would say that yes, Ronald Acuna Jr., according to the stats and his projections going forward, is on track to be a Hall of Famer. So this video is a little bit different, so I'm not going to give a percentage because that's a whole lot easier when you're towards the twilight of your career. To begin it, I can say you're on pace or not, which is a whole lot easier. So Ronald Acuna Jr., the first player on today's video, yes, he's on track. I know a lot of you guys hopped off the Carlos Correa bandwagon because of what happened in 2017 with the trash cans and then his 2020 outburst calling out Cody Bellinger and just not really making himself look that great. But to begin his career, he looked like the second coming of Troy Tulowitzki. He's an elite defender from 21 to 22 years old. He racked up an almost 14 WAR. He was 100% on pace, but then 2018 happened. His OPS dipped all the way down to 728. Now, he did bounce back in 2019. He had a great postseason, but he was injured for most of the year, so I do have to compare him to Troy Tulowitzki. So with that being said, I don't think he's on pace right now considering his injury past, his inconsistencies because of his OPS dippage. Is he a Hall of Fame talent? Yes, but he's got to stay healthy. He's got to make sure that he can trust his body and just play well. That's all he has to do because he has the talent, and I know a lot of people don't like him, but the talent's there. Gotta give him that. In 2018, Juan Soto took the league by storm at just 19 years old and had one of the best teenager seasons that this game has ever seen. So he was already going to be a great superstar, but then he got even better in 2019, both offensively by raising his OPS by almost 30 points, but he got better on the defensive side as well. Now, he's not Cody Bellinger out there, he's not Mookie Betts or even Ronald Acuna Jr., but he did improve. That's exactly what you want to see from a young superstar. So let's say that 2019 was the start of his peak. If we sim through 27 years old, he should be looking at about 250 to 270 home runs. And honestly, if we take a look at his WAR, the average WAR for a Hall of Fame left fielder through their 7-year peak was 41.7. If we sim the next 7 seasons, he'll be looking at about 35 WAR because again, he doesn't have the best defense, but that puts him pretty close. 41.7 compared to 35, I think that is enough to say yes. Juan Soto is the second player on today's video that I feel is on pace to become a Hall of Famer because he's got the stats, he has the consistency, he's improving, everything's there. Juan Soto, I honestly feel like in 15 years, we're gonna be looking at a guy that might have 500 home runs. Coming up next, the only player on today's list that is getting a maybe from me because I truly cannot project going forward how good he is going to be or if he's going to have the counting stats to become a Hall of Famer. So I'm going to need your help in the comment section down below. We're talking about Gleyber Torres. In 2019, he improved with the power. I mean, as a shortstop and second baseman, very rarely do you get a guy that can hit 38 home runs. Now, say what you want that most of them came against the Orioles and he plays in Yankee Stadium. Gleyber Torres is an all-time power talent at a premium position. Now, I will say his defense slipped a lot. He had 20 errors in 2019, a negative 12 DRS at second base. That is not going to cut it, and he was also below average as a base runner. Now, one thing I want to do is the same thing that we did with Juan Soto is compare his 7-year peak to the average Hall of Fame shortstop that's already in the Hall of Fame. So their 7-year peak WAR was 44.4. He's on pace for about a 25 7-year peak WAR, which is definitely not going to cut it. He's not on pace for me, but I know a lot of you guys think that the power numbers are going to carry him. So what do you think? Is Gleyber Torres on pace to become a Hall of Famer because of his age and the fact that he started so young? Yes or no? We're not going to spend too much time on Rafael Devers simply because I don't think he's on pace. I know a lot of you Red Sox fans don't want to hear that, but he just needs to show more consistency. He broke out all the way in 2019. He met all of the requirements and then some. He exceeded expectations with 201 base hits, 20 plus home runs. I think he also had a 900 plus OPS, so he showed the world that he can be a prime third baseman in this league. In his rookie season, he did pretty good, but then in his sophomore season, he did experience that slump to the point where I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to bounce back. The defense is not very good. He's not a very good base runner as well. So at this point in his career, he does have the talent to get better and better and better, but is he on pace after about 2.5 seasons? Rafael Devers, in my opinion, not yet. One of the most underrated players and underappreciated players and also underpaid players in Major League Baseball, Ozzie Albies, the second baseman for the Atlanta Braves. He might be on pace to become a Hall of Famer. Let me go ahead and state exactly why. In 2019, he had 189 base hit, 24 home runs, 15 stolen bases, and 852 OPS is really good for a guy that plays second base the majority of the time, and he has great defense. So using that, if you sim it just like we did with Juan Soto for the next 7 seasons, he could be approaching 2,000 base hits with 200 home runs and almost 150 stolen bases before turning 30 years old. He could end up with 2,500 base hits, maybe a few Gold Gloves, 250 home runs. It could definitely happen. I think that Ozzie Albies right now, considering his lineup, the age, and his switch hitting capabilities with great defense, he is on pace to be a Hall of Famer, which is crazy to say. And also, I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't think that Ozzie Albies is ever going to dominate the league, but I can really see him having a Roberto Alomar type of career, someone that makes a lot of all-star teams, has a Silver Slugger in his career at some point, maybe wins a World Series with the Braves. I just really like Ozzie Albies. I think he's going to be great for a long time. So you guys saw the thumbnail. You knew at some point in the video we were going to have to talk about Cody Bellinger, and let me just keep it very, very simple. Cody Bellinger is one of the most talented baseball players I've ever seen in my entire life. If he can hit just a little bit more consistently over the course of a full 162 game schedule, we're looking at a guy that can rival Mike Trout. Now let me go ahead and explain why, because that might be a little bit hyperbolic. Mike Trout is one of the best, I mean, like honestly, top 10, top 5 baseball players in the history of the game. So this is a pretty bold statement. Let me try to back it up. In 2019, when Cody Bellinger won the MVP, he had a 9.1 WAR at 23 years old. After hitting 47 home runs, he ended the season with the 1,035 OPS, and then defensively, he had 27 runs saved. How can you hit 47 bombs, have a 1,000 plus OPS, and then save almost 30 runs in a single season? So let's say that he never has a 9 WAR ever again in a single season. If he averages 7 over the next 6 years, that's a combined 44.1 7-year peak if we're talking about the WAR stat. I know a lot of you guys don't like the WAR, but it's really good for projecting Hall of Fame players. If we take a look at the average Hall of Fame right fielder over the stretch of 7 years, their peak prime years, they had a 42.4. So Bellinger is actually having a better pace than some current Hall of Famers. It's insane. Cody Bellinger is so good that he's breaking the mold. He's literally going to pass up Hall of Famers in the next couple seasons if he keeps this up. So to keep it simple, yes, considering his age, considering his talent, Cody Bellinger is well on his way to making the Hall of Fame. Now here's a player that I think a lot of you might have not thought would be in today's video, but after 2019 and because of his age, you almost have to consider him. I don't think he's on pace just yet, but Shane Bieber had a 4.55 ERA in his rookie year, which is the reason why I don't think he's on pace right now, because the consistency is not there. Just like Rafael Devers, I need to see it just a little bit more often for just a few more years going forward. But in 2019, he did show that he can be an elite pitcher. I'm pretty sure that he's going to win at least one Cy Young in his career, and he showed his stuff in the All-Star game by striking out the side. He also led baseball in complete games and shutouts. He also led baseball with a 1.7 walks per 9, which was the lowest in the entire American League. So does he have the stuff? Absolutely. Does he have the consistency? That is the one question with Shane Bieber. So what do you guys think? Do you think that he's going to be a Randy Johnson type player where he's not very good and then all of a sudden he flips the switch? Do you think that that's going to happen, or do you think that Bieber is just going to be part of the Hall of Very Good? Now, if you guys don't remember, in part number 1 where we talked about the older players that have a good chance of making the Hall of Fame, we had one single wild card, and that was Nick Markakis. Well, my wild card for today's video is Shohei Ohtani of the LA Angels. Hear me out. Signing Anthony Rendon changes everything. That lineup is now going to turn over much more, so he's going to have more chances to drive in runs and also get driven in by Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, Justin Upton if he can have a comeback season. And on top of that, the shutdown. Baseball's not being played, and he had Tommy John surgery back in I think the fall of 2019, where he was allowed to DH, but he wasn't allowed to throw. And that's what separates Shohei Ohtani, is the fact that he's not going to have a normal career. He's going to spend half of it as a hitter and the next half as a pitcher. Hopefully, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that he comes back healthy, because in his rookie season, he showed that he can strike out a buttload of hitters. He could end up, I mean, honestly, if he stays healthy, considering his age, if he is as electric as he is supposed to be, the dude could end up with 1,500 to 2,000 strikeouts as a pitcher. He could also hit 200 to 250 home runs. And if you combine all of that into one single resume, he has the makeup to become one of the most complete players that we've seen in the history of baseball as a hitter and a pitcher. CC Sabathia even said that Shohei is the best player he's ever seen. Is he on pace right now? Unfortunately, no, because the highest single season WAR that he's had is 2.7. I mean, that's definitely not going to cut it. The average starting pitcher for a 7-year peak was a 50 WAR, so that's not even 50% of what he needs to be at. So I think that Shohei Ohtani has the talent, but right now, as it stands, not on pace. But he can change that in a single season. He can literally snap his fingers and become Thanos and just do everything at an elite level. He's that talented. I'm gonna throw out the name Garrett Cole and then compare him to a younger version of himself. Walker Buehler. Doesn't Walker Buehler kind of remind you of a young Garrett Cole? In my opinion, I think that they pretty much go hand in hand. So for right now, I just wanted to bring up Walker Buehler because he's been so good both in the regular season and postseason. He throws 100. He's got a great mix of off-speed pitches. I think that Walker Buehler can turn into the next Garrett Cole, strike out 300 hitters. He has a really good lineup behind him as well, so he can average 15 to 20 wins over the next 7, maybe 10 years. But right now, unfortunately, he is not on pace. I still need to see just a little bit more. Pitchers are a whole lot more difficult. That's why Shane Bieber might not be on pace, or Shohei Ohtani or Walker Buehler. It's harder to project, and I challenge you guys to try and do a video like this because it's a lot of work. But that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If I missed any player, please let me know in the comment section down below. And remember, part number 3 should be coming out pretty soon if we support the heck out of this video. We're talking about current superstars that are aged 26 to about 32 who have the best chances to make the Hall of Fame. Is Christian Yelich a Hall of Famer? Is Mike Trout a Hall of Famer? We'll talk about that in part number 3. Catch you guys there. Peace out. The fun does not stop here. If you guys are looking for some more content, or if you're just really bored, there are 2 more videos on the screen right now. What are you doing? Click on them. They're fun.